The dinner was supposed to be a simple family gathering, a celebration even. My wife, Sarah, had been insisting for weeks that we needed to smooth things over with her parents. Her mother, Brenda, had always been cold toward me, jealous, manipulative, and openly disdainful. But tonight, I was determined to keep the peace. I should have known something was wrong the moment I walked into her house. Brenda's smile was just a little too wide, too fake. Her eyes gleamed with a glint I couldn't quite place. And there was something in the air, like static before a storm, something that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. We sat down at the dinner table. There was a bottle of wine, fresh bread, roasted chicken, and all the usual comfort foods. But my stomach was in knots, not because of the food, but because of the way Brenda kept refilling my glass. "Here, Mark, let me top you off," she said, her voice sickeningly sweet. I didn't think much of it at first, but then it started. The dizziness, the sudden shift in my vision, the warmth that bloomed in my chest like something else, something unnatural. I hadn't noticed it until the taste hit me, sharp, bitter, like something toxic was creeping into my bloodstream. It wasn't alcohol, it was something else, something Brenda had put in my drink. And then, as the world around me started to blur, it clicked. She was trying to drug me, but I wasn't about to let her get away with it. Not like this. As the room started to spin, I swapped my glass with Sarah's father, Rick. He was oblivious to what was going on, but Brenda wasn't. She was watching me closely, waiting for the moment the drug would take effect. What happened next? Well, let's just say Brenda didn't get what she was hoping for. As the minutes passed, I could feel the effects of the drug starting to creep through my body. My head swam. My limbs felt heavy. I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't show it. Not yet. I forced myself to stay composed, my eyes darting between Sarah, her father Rick, and Brenda, who was watching me intently. The subtle tension in the air became more palpable as the drug settled in. I could hear my heartbeat thudding in my ears. Everything felt muffled, like I was trapped underwater, the room distorted around me. But then, I saw it. Brenda's smug little smile, as if she had just won a victory. She was watching me, waiting for me to falter. But I didn't. Not yet. I kept sipping from Rick's glass, trying to maintain the illusion that nothing was wrong, even as my vision blurred and my thoughts began to slow. The only thing that kept me grounded was the knowledge that I wasn't the one who would feel the full brunt of this poison. Then, without warning, Brenda's demeanor changed. Her hands trembled as she reached for her glass again. Her breath hitched as if she suddenly couldn't breathe. It wasn't me, it was her. The drug, in all its subtlety, was taking effect on her instead. And that was when I realized what was happening. At first, it was hard to believe. Brenda was the one who had been so methodical, so careful in making sure I took the drink. Now, she was the one struggling to stay upright. Her face twisted with confusion, and then with panic, as the realization hit her that the drink she had spiked had come back to haunt her. "Mom!" Sarah's voice trembled as she looked at Brenda, concerned. Brenda's hands shot up to her face, clutching at her temples. What's happening to me?" she gasped. I tried to hide my grin behind my glass, knowing that I had outsmarted her. But I couldn't resist it any longer. My voice was steady as I spoke, though my insides were roiling with adrenaline. "I think you know exactly what's happening, Brenda," I said, my voice calm, but with a sharp edge that cut through the tension. "You thought you could poison me, didn't you? But instead, you're the one who drank from the cup." Her eyes widened, but she was too dazed to respond immediately. She stumbled slightly in her seat, clutching at the table to steady herself. Rick looked at his wife, confused. "What's going on? Are you okay, honey?" "Of course, she's not okay," I said, my words cutting through the room. "She spiked my drink. She was trying to drug me." The silence that followed was suffocating. Sarah's eyes darted between me and her mother, disbelief creeping into her features. You did what? Sarah asked, her voice shaking with a mix of anger and confusion. Brenda's face twisted in fury. The illusion of calm shattered as she reached out, trying to steady herself. Don't be ridiculous, she snapped, but the venom was gone from her words. You're lying. Why would I do something like that? I could feel Sarah's gaze burning into me, her confusion turning to suspicion. But I wasn't going to let Brenda gaslight me. I saw you, Brenda, I said, my voice firm. I saw you refilling my glass over and over, each time with that smug look on your face. You thought I wouldn't notice, but I did. For a moment, Brenda froze. Her entire demeanor crumbled. The tough, manipulative woman who had ruled over every family gathering, who had tried to undermine me at every turn, was gone. She was just a broken woman in front of her family, caught in her own web of lies. Sarah stood up from the table, her expression a mixture of shock and betrayal. Mom, how could you do this? Why would you do this to him? Brenda looked at her daughter, her eyes wild. You don't understand. He's not good enough for you. You deserve better, Sarah. You've always deserved better than him. Her words were venomous, the raw jealousy and insecurity spilling out of her like a tidal wave. But as she spoke, I noticed something in Rick's eyes, a flicker of realization. He had been oblivious to his wife's manipulations for so long, but now the truth was starting to hit him. Rick stood up suddenly, knocking his chair back. Brenda, is this true? His voice was low, filled with disbelief. Brenda's face turned pale as she tried to compose herself. Rick, please, you don't know what you're talking about. But it was too late. The dam had broken. I should have seen it, Rick muttered under his breath. I should have seen what you were doing. The tension in the room was unbearable as Brenda slumped in her chair, defeated. There was no escaping the truth now, and though it hurt me to see the woman I had tried to please for so long fall from grace, there was a sense of justice in it. The rest of the evening was a blur. Sarah was hurt, deeply hurt, but she was also angry. Angry at her mother for what she had done, and angry at herself for not seeing it sooner. But as we left the house, she turned to me, her expression softening. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I should have believed you. I should have trusted you. I pulled her into a hug, feeling the weight of the evening lift off my shoulders. It's okay. We'll get through this. And we did. Over time, Sarah and I rebuilt our trust in each other, stronger than ever. As for Brenda, her manipulations were exposed for good. Sarah's relationship with her mother was never the same, but she was finally free from the toxic grip Brenda had held on her for so long. Rick, on the other hand, stood by me. The betrayal shook him, but he understood that family should never be about manipulation or cruelty. We moved forward together, stronger than ever. Months later, Sarah and I stood hand in hand at our own celebration, our wedding anniversary, surrounded by people who loved us for who we were. It felt like a fresh start. We had let go of the toxic past, and together we looked ahead to a future where trust, love, and happiness were at the center of everything. And as for Brenda, well, her bitterness and jealousy had left her isolated. Her attempts to sabotage our lives had failed, and I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't about retaliation. It's about moving forward with your head held high, knowing you've won the battle for your happiness.